I'm Kayla Furlow, and we're here with James Hoover, and we're asking questions about the objectivity in journalism. So, James, how do you feel, or do you think that the way that the media is covering, do you think that the way that media presidential election is fair to both sides or favors one side or than the other?
Well, I think it depends on what news media you're listening to. I feel like personally that the major big three networks tend to favor the Liberal Party. Some of the cable news, Fox News, I think is a whole lot more objective, although they probably lean a little bit more conservative than liberal. But I really don't feel like the conservatives get a fair shot with the big three networks.
Which side do you think that they would favor?
Well, again, like I said, the major networks I feel like definitely favor the liberal parties, more so than the conservatives.
One question that you would want to ask about the news that's being covered in any political race, or during the political race?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, is there any questions that you would want to know? Like, if you had the opportunity to ask a question to to them, what would you ask?
I guess I would be curious. I'm not sure that you'd ever get a straight answer, but I am curious why it is that so many journalists tend to be liberal. Is it something maybe in their college days? It seems that a lot of college professors tend to be liberal. Maybe that's where they get their liberalism in their early years. I don't know, but I'd be curious to know.
Okay, we're back, and we have a segment here with some A&M Commerce students who are working with us on this issue, on this project, and they are Jeff Amos and Luca Morazzano and also Jiyoung Chong, who are helping us out in researching the whole issue, the whole concept of objective journalism. I have some questions for you, but before we get into those questions, what are your thoughts about what James Hoover had to say there? And his question in particular there at the end, why is it, and this is the perception of many people, that that most journalists, most newspaper reporters, especially television reporters, tend to have a liberal or progressive point of view? First of all, is that accurate? And secondly, if it is accurate, any thoughts on why that might be? Jeff, you want to start?
I would say that journalists, or there's some truth to what he said, and I think it's more of a function of the environment that those journalists may be in. I think where say ABC, CBS, NBC tend to have a more kind of liberal view of things due to the location of where they are. And I think journalists, say at a network like Fox News, would have a more conservative background due to that conservative environment that the company portrays.
Mm-hmm. It's the company itself tends to foster a particular point of view. Luca or Jiyoung, any other thoughts on that?
I would say just one thing. We should focus a lot on the ownership, on the problem of the ownership. For this research, I was reading an interesting essay by Professor Emeritus at Berkeley, at the School of Journalism of Berkeley. This guy, his name is Ben Bagdakian, and basically what he maintains is that in 20 years from 1983 to now, the media corporation passed from 50 to just 5. 5. Mm-hmm. And so the problem of objective journalism is evident at this point when you have just 5 right. Competitors on a market.
Right. Fewer and fewer people.
Fewer people. Yes.
Churning out the journalism.
Yes.
Jiyoung?
I don't really
No
No.
particular
Yeah,
opinion on that
okay.
point of view. Okay, that's fine. So all of you are doing research, and Luca already sort of has alluded to this. All of you have been doing some research about objective journalism. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about the research that you're doing.
Sure. All three of us are looking at news media websites, from Korean websites, Italian websites, and American websites. We're researching articles related to the United States presidential election and whether or not there's a liberal or conservative bias, or if in fact those media websites are portraying objective news coverage on the election.
Well, it's interesting here, and obviously as we listen to Jeff and Luca and Ji Young, it's obvious that Luca and Ji Young are not Native American students. Luca's from Italy and Ji Young from Korea. Am I correct? South Korea. Ji Young, let me start with Luca actually, or go on to Luca next. What have you found in looking at the Italian media?
Okay, as you can imagine, we have to talk a little bit about Italian media. That is not slightly, it's by far different from the American media industry. And the problem of objective journalism is a sensitive topic. So a sensitive topic in Italy as well. So what I found is that, yeah, of course, it's obvious there is like there are blatant problems of objectivity in media. Talking about specifically about Italian media, we should say that differently from the American ones, there are two basic huge corporations. A public one called RAI, and a private one. They both gather around 90% of the advertisement. So they represent. There's a duopoly. The problem with the RAI, with the public services, that is under the control of the parliament. And then in the last 20 years, and that's the problem of objectivity in journalism in the Italian system, is that after the advent of Silvio Berlusconi, who has been the former prime minister for in the last 5 years, basically he was the owner of the private network. So there is this this problem. Now, not only he is the owner of the private network, there's a conflict of interest. Now he is the public network is under the influence.
I see. Ji Young, what are you seeing in South Korea?
Actually, two of other people are working with me about like comparing Korean media and American media, how they covers the presidential election in the U.S. We were planning to do separately, like liberal, moderate, and conservative. But in Korean media, most of the news articles and broadcasting system has either have conservative and liberal. There's no moderate.
Nothing in the middle.
Yeah, so we tried to find both liberal and conservative without moderate covers, newspaper and articles.
Are you finding that there's a good deal of objectivity, or is there not? Is it pretty much one side or the other then in the coverage in Korea?
Some media seems like they pretend to be a moderate, but not actually they're moderate. They're just pretending it.
I see. All right, fine. Let's see what some of the folks around Commerce have to say again about objectivity in journalism.
Hey guys, I'm Jasmine. I'm with the Objective Journalism Initiative, and I'm here with a journalism student, Jordan. Hey Jordan, how you doing?
Going well, Jasmine. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, I have a few questions to ask you. You ready?
Not a problem. Lay on me.
All right. Do you think, first of all, do you consider yourself liberal, moderate, conservative, or would you rather not even say?
If I had to say, I'd consider myself a little bit more moderate. I mean, I'd say I have a few liberal tendencies, but I'm not blind to the faults of either party.
Okay. Do you think the way the media covers a presidential election is fair to both sides, or do you think it's leaning more towards another?
Well, it seems to me that a lot of that is very dependent on the source. Yes. You've got a lot of conservative news sources. You've got a lot of liberal news sources. Every once in a while, you find some places that are sort of in between, and all of that has to do with packaging. And I think that what most of the slanted ones need to do is they need to definitely start looking more into pulling back on interjecting their own opinion, because news isn't about giving your opinion. It's about reporting things as they occur.
Okay. Next Monday we are having a show, and it's kind of talk about a little bit about this. And we're going to have a panel, and we're asking students or anybody in general if they have any questions about the media, about how it works and stuff if they would like to ask. Do you have anything in particular?
Questions. These are being asked to.
I want to say it's a panel. I know Dr. Bellotti is going to be there. I'm pretty sure maybe the head of our department is going to be there, Dr. Dempsey, and maybe a few other people. So anything coming to mind?
Well, the big thing that always comes to mind with me as someone who's trying to strike it big in the internet age is how is the media going to fix its current system of credentials in regarding to who is considered a reputable news source? You've got these days you've got blogs that can be more reputable than mainstream news sources, and vice versa. You got any hack with a blog can get more attention than mainstream news sources that actually do good jobs. So my question would be, how are we going to adjust those credentials for the coming internet age?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of working journalists coming up in our next segment, and I think we'll let them field that particular question. So Jeff, some activity coming up here very soon in November. Why don't you very quickly tell us about what that will be related to all of this?
Absolutely. The research that Ji-Yoon, Luca, and I are conducting, will present that at the Globalization in Humanities, Texas, and the World Interdisciplinary Conference, which is held on campus November 16th through the 17th, which is a Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm. And so you'll each have a presentation to make at that, and on each of the countries that you've been studying?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a very big event, and a lot of people involved with that, and looking forward to it. And again, the dates are?
November 16th through the 17th.
Okay, very good. All right. One more segment coming up on this particular program on objectivity in journalism, and as I say, we're going to be joined by some working journalists, and they are Nick Bailey with the East Texan and Caleb Slinkard with the Greenville Herald Banner and the Commerce Journal. So we'll talk with them about what they're seeing out there in the trenches as they deal with this issue each and every day. Right after this.